Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Control Academy. I'm your host Marshall, and today we're playing Bant Control. Before we get started, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you like what we're doing here, creating innovative control decks on the channel every week, please subscribe. It means a lot to me as a new creator here, trying to get that groundswell going, and I've got a goal of getting to the partner program by the end of the year, and I'd love for you to be part of what gets me there. Anyway, without any further ado, this deck, Bant Control, came about because I wanted to make sure that I played a deck with Tamiyo before the end of Kamigawa's standard season. It happens to be also inspired by the fact that we're getting Bant Shard in the next set, so I wanted to start thinking about how green can factor into control. And so this deck is my first pass at a Bant Control deck, and I actually really like how it plays. So starting with Tamiyo, which is the inspiration for the deck, I went down a couple different rabbit holes with Tamiyo. I was originally thinking about like a Sultai Reanimator deck, which just, I think that there are builds out there like what Croaky had last season that could probably do really well, but Tamiyo doesn't necessarily fit into those perfectly. There are probably ways to make good use of her minus ability, which is minus X. Exile target non-land permanent card with mana value X from your graveyard, create a token as a copy of that card. There are probably ways to build around that really effectively, but I haven't found ways to do that that didn't make Tamiyo feel like more of a distraction than anything else. Because those Reanimator decks, we played an Olivia Reanimator deck at one point that worked really well, but its goal was just to go all out toward the big finish really quickly, and Tamiyo needs to kind of build up to being able to get really giant things back. But for the most part, with Tamiyo in this deck, we're using her as a value engine. We're trying to plus her to lock down some of the things from our opponent. We're going to minus things to sort of get back from our graveyard the things that our opponents have removed. And then ultimately, pun not intended but happily received, the -7, which if we cast Tamiyo for 5 mana, is actually pretty attainable. Creates a notebook, Tamiyo's notebook, a legendary colorless artifact token with spells you cast cost 2 less to cast and tap to draw a card. That thing is nuts, and it is more attainable than you'd think. And so being able to get Tamiyo up to 7 is super, super powerful here. So it's not the jaw-dropping combo piece that I was looking for in the Reanimator decks, but it's still really, really strong. And so the minus, if we're using it for that purpose, can get back a lot of really great things. So the minus ability can get back target non-land permanents with mana values basically equal to or less than her loyalty. So right off the bat, she can go ahead and grab a Wandering Emperor, a Esika's Chariot, Wedding Announcement, Celestus, which having a 1 of here is actually in part due to this ability, just to be able to yank a mana rock out of the graveyard. Really powerful. We can go ahead and reanimate our creatures this way. The other thing this does is Esika's Chariot becomes a really powerful threat, because if we do bring something back from the graveyard with Tamiyo, Esika's Chariot can copy it, because it doesn't need to be a creature token that you copy. In the green decks, I've sometimes used this to copy like a treasure, so the green-black decks. And in here, say we use Tamiyo to get a token copy of Wedding Announcement, then we can use the Esika's Chariot to potentially get another copy of it every single turn. So there are some really crazy things you can do in this deck with this. I would say that that's not the common line of play. It's not something that you should go out of your way to do, but it is really fun when you can pull off get a really powerful card back from your graveyard with Tamiyo and then start making copies of it with the Chariot. It's real good. Otherwise, this deck should look very similar to other control decks we've played. We've got March of Otherworldly Light because it's great. We got Fateful Absence. It's a really good rate. We want to make sure we can snag planeswalkers in these colors, and this is one of the few cards that can do it really cleanly. Malevolent Hermit is an MVP. I'm playing Prosperous Innkeeper here with Wedding Announcement on the battlefield. It just becomes like a life gain engine, on its own pretty easily. But most importantly, the real sort of killer app for this is that it comes in and makes a treasure. So we get a body on the board to chump with. It can gain us some life, but importantly is that it gets fixing for us, which in this deck is really important because we're playing 3 colors in a format that doesn't super support 3 colors. That's also why the Celestus is here. It works as a nether thing to snag out of the graveyard with Tamiyo's -X, but it's also a way to sort of fix our mana, get some value, gain some life, draw some cards. As a one of, I'm pretty happy to see it here. We've played Wandering Emperor, don't need to spend a lot of time there. We've played Memory Deluge, it's pretty great. And then I mentioned Esika's Chariot. It's a good threat, it's hard to kill, it's great in the aggro decks, and it's also pretty good here where we're generating a bunch of tokens. Those tokens sometimes get pretty beefy, and this gives us an opportunity to close out the game pretty effectively. There's only 2 copies. It's something that we want to see more often than not, but we don't want to see it in every single hand. So that's why we've got 2. We've got Wraths, the same Wrath package I put in pretty much every white deck. 4 Doomskar, 2 Farewell, gotta love it. And then up here at the top end, I'm also running 2 Kairi, the Swirling Sky, and a Koma. Koma is kind of cursed for me. I will say that I have gone many times being like, I just need to fade Infernal Grasp just one time, and then it inevitably gets Infernal Grasp like with the trigger on the stack, and I'm just like, oh, darn it. But anyway, if you can avoid that first removal spell with Koma, Koma is insane. Kairi we've played before, is really strong. I went with Kairi because I really want the bigger body. I want the Ward 3, and then importantly, while the mill 6 and get 2 instants of sorcery is a little bit less good in this deck because of how permanent heavy we are, milling 6 is inherently good for Tamiyo's minus ability, but also just being able to bounce non-land permanents back to our opponent's hands when it is removed is really important, because our opponents have to spend a lot of mana in order to target this, and then when it does hit the graveyard, it's going to really set their board back. So that's why I've gone with Kairi here. I think that there are a lot of good options for what to put in this slot, and so it's hard to go wrong. We're not often reanimating the big Chonkosauruses with Tamiyo's minus ability, but it is my dream to do so. The mana base shouldn't surprise you. We've got Channel Lands, we've got 2 Halls of the Storm Giants, and then otherwise we've got the slow lands and the flip lands. But otherwise, this is a deck, and as you'll see in the games, it can get pretty strong once you get going. Anyway, let's go play some games. Remember, if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you really, really liked it, say you loved it, subscribe to the channel, and you'll get more of these in your sub box every week. But without further ado, some games. All right. We're up against Fugamasor. These googly eyes. April 1st, everybody. April 1st. This is okay. Our opponent's on the play, which is annoying, and this doesn't have quite as much action as I'd like, but the fact that we've got Wrath, Removal, Engine, and then Boseiju can double up as an answer if our opponent's playing enchantments and the like, I'm going to give it a shot. There are a lot of things that I wish this hand had, but not a ton more that I could really ask for other than card draw or a threat. That is problematic. Alright, so I am being forced to play off curve. This is only on 3, so yikes. Let's go ahead and just drop a farmland and pass. Elite Spellbinders. Okay, well at least there's not Elite Spellbinders, so cheers to that. Oh boy, Celestus. Alright, Overgrown Farmland and pass. Oh boy. Okay, they're spreading around, which is smart. And then Channel like Ganjo. March is good. I appreciate having March available. So play this. Play Celestus to get that going, and then I've got Fateful Absence and March of Otherworldly Light up. Probably don't play March of Otherworldly Light right away, but it's pretty okay. Alright, so they're spreading the counters around. Makes sense. As to attackers. They are choked on lands. So I'm going to go ahead and kill the big one. Take 2. They can tap out and draw. Maybe that gets them their land. It's a downside to Fateful Absence, but it's also a nice little upside. This is tough. I want the second blue, so I'm going to discard Boseiju. They're not going to have a ton of targets for Boseiju anyway, so happy to power that out. Now here, it's maybe a little bit bold to do this, but I'm just going to run out double Wedding Announcement. It gets me extra blockers. Let's draw a card, then discard a land. So it kind of minimizes some of the things that happen. It's going to be a little annoying. Okay. A little annoying if they had a land and a Elite Spellbinder, but double Portable Hole. Okay. There you go. Your answers lined up perfectly. Good for you. The nice thing is Wedding Announcement, sorry. I don't know why I've been saying anniversary recently. Wedding Announcement sticks around, so we're still good. Let's go ahead and put this on blue. Probably could have put it on white, but it's okay. And then I'm going to pass. That'll flip the Celestus again. This is helping deal with a lot of flood. So that is a-okay. Brutal Cathar. Okay. Comes down Nightbound. So resolve. Pass to attackers. Blockers. And just like that. And then I have the option to either March or Wrath. I think unless I draw something really compelling next turn, I'm just going to... Doomskar is the better thing to cast here. I'll take that. So let's see if they let me get through with my little Deuterino. I assume they block it because they've got a 3/3 first striker with Ward. They're letting me get one through. Okay. I mean, I don't think they lose out a whole lot for it, but it was not a whole lot of reason. And now we got 3/3s. I wouldn't mind drawing Tamiyo next turn, because... okay. Seems good. Alright, my turn. Do I want to... I don't want to nuke that because I don't have enough mana. Koma is too legit not to play right here. Let's do it. Oh, if they have exactly an exile effect. I can't, because these will come in on the backside anyway, so yeah. Pass and let Koma start doing the work. Moonrage Brute doesn't look so good when it's looking at a Koma. Yeah, that's not gonna do it, guys. All right, let's go attacking. They can double up like that if they like. Yeah, so they're going to kill it. So that was, I mean, it drew their blockers away, so I'm okay with that. Let's go ahead and just for funsies, I will sacrifice that Serpent. Then over here, draw Kairi. It's a beautiful little 8/8. He's still got 1 mana up, so in case of emergency, we can march. But I suspect our opponent's probably going to scoop. Like, I don't see a world where this isn't a scoop. I mean, if they're... okay, well, I mean, that's still not really going to solve their problem, per se. Like, they can answer my Koma, which is a thing. So... tap target permanent. Yes. Sacrifice a Serpent. Resolve. Take action. Sacrifice a Serpent. Good game. Good game. Alright, our next opponent is I Am Inevitable. Okay, Thanos, we'll give the one googly eye, and that's funny. Oh, I find that too funny. Okay, well, this is interesting. Would really like to have some blue mana, but we can cast almost everything in the hand, and the Prosperous Innkeeper actually even makes Tamiyo viable, so we're on the play. I'm gonna risk it, you know? It's a questionable hand to keep, but I'm gonna give it a shot. In any case, we do need to draw stuff. Okay, so the black control decks are where this deck has a little bit of a tough time, because our threats don't line up amazingly well against them. We do better against the black-white versions, interestingly enough, but this isn't a matchup that I'm like thrilled about, I guess is really what it comes down to. That's not a land. So you have the option against Celestus and set up for the next turn. I think that's probably actually a decent line just because we also need blue mana. It's not great. I would have much preferred to have drawn a land here, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. No attacks. I mean, if we could draw a land, then we can do a 4-mana Tamiyo, which is something. Could also leave up Wandering Emperor, which is maybe the better play, but I like to live life in the fast lane, I suppose. Ooh, Sultai. I no longer know how I feel about this matchup. I've had a track record playing against Sultai, where I've won most of them, that they've been grinds. Come on, buddy. Alright, well, let's float a blue mana for funsies. Resolve. Take action. Got one basic plane, so it's not the end of the world. Let's draw a card. Oh, what to discard, what to discard. I think I want to discard Doomskar. Yeah. So I've got do I want to do anything with this mana? I could bring in a Wandering Emperor now, which is maybe okay. Make good use of the mana. Because if I don't draw a land, then I'm kind of not doing a whole lot. So I'm just going to play to my outs. Alright, I did draw a land, so, you know, I'm still glad that I did it. Like, I think that was playing to my outs with what is known on the board anyway. I'm certainly open to hearing in the comments what you would have done in that scenario. I don't think it's necessarily going to be the make or break for this game, but there's definitely percentage points to be made or lost in that particular decision, I think. Come on, Mr. I Am Inevitable. I'd like your turn to be more inevitable. I'm just being impatient tonight. I don't actually mind this person thinking about their moves. It's just late here, and I've got 2 young children that make it so that I have much less energy than it probably looks like. Fun fact, if it ever looks like I'm roping if you're playing against me, there's a high probability that I'm actually on mobile, playing while looking after my 2 kids. And I try my best not to let the game stagnate as a result of that. But it's not impossible that the reason that I'm letting my timer run down is because of children distracting me, not because I'm trying to be salty. So I try to be patient with folks who are in the situation where there's no reason he should be being salty. I don't think that this is... Ooh, that's rough. I don't think it's malevolent by any means. But I feel for the people where they've got stuff going on. So let's go ahead and get this plus. Got 5 mana. So I will play a full cost Tamiyo, which... Oh, I don't actually have double green. Okay. I've got to change what I pay for there. So change that to blue. Done. Auto pay. We'll lock down a Ghast. And attack. They can snag our Innkeeper, but ultimately that's not the end of the world. I think our opponent may just be distracted with real life or disconnected, which is unfortunate. I don't know what their hand is, but I have a feeling that this match could have been pretty interesting if they weren't kind of stuck like that. Especially now we've got Tamiyo on 6. We're so close. I just saw them hovering over cards, so maybe they're back. Maybe we got a game still. Twitch is Dees. I can then lock that down with Tamiyo. Mostly just want to get Tamiyo to 7 so that I can get the notebook. We could get back a Celestus, which is not bad. But if we can gum up the board well enough to get Tamiyo to do Tamiyo type things, I'm going to be a very, very happy person. But oh, I think opponent's kids are getting at him again. Thrilling content to watch, I'm sure. But again, I was really excited to play against the Sultai deck. I actually really like the Sultai games that I've played against, and so I do want to build a Sultai deck before New Capenna comes out, so that will be coming. I started with Sultai actually for this deck, but just ended up going Bant, because that's what I arrived on that I was happy with first. But put a +1/+1 counter here. So next,
remember your training.
Oops. Let's go keep this back so we don't lose any loyalty off of our beautiful, beautiful walker. Now this does give our opponent a mana, which is not irrelevant. But I do feel bad that they've lost a couple turns, so I think I'm okay with letting them have a treasure. Here I can Prosperous Innkeeper and use the treasure for Memory Deluge, or leave it up. I think Prosperous Innkeeper is still the best call here. I don't know that I want to spend the treasure because I could get Kairi next turn, but we'll see. I don't think our opponent's casting Blood on the Snow anytime soon, which would be the main thing that would really wreck my day. No! Binding the Okas, leave my Tamiyo alone. I was so excited. No, stop it. Stop. I assume they're going after Tamiyo. Oh well. Tamiyo helped me force some damage through, so she did a good job, and that -7 would have been good. I suppose if I had properly accounted for this possibility, then I would have gotten back Celestus, but oh well. There's always another Tamiyo. My turn, I'm going to untap. Oh, there's another land, so that's pretty good. I wanted to make sure I had 6 mana going into this turn, because especially now that Tamiyo's gone, I want to drop Kairi. So let's go ahead and get this on green. Just get that on the board. Play Kairi the Swirling Sky. Put a +1/+1 counter on this. And then I'll attack. I dare you to try to binding the old gods to the Kairi. Ward works pretty well in this matchup. It's not guaranteed to do anything because they are getting... Well, I was about to say they're getting close to Blood on Snow, but they're probably not playing that actually, given that they only have this as a snowland so far. I guess these two probably doesn't do a whole lot for them. Cool. Let's plus on this guy. Play a Hermit. All right. Alright, and then I guess since they went ahead and did that, I'll just attack with Kairi. Call it good enough. They block with Eye Twitch, which potentially gets them an out, but I have Hermit now, so I'm a little bit less afraid. Environmental Sciences, so they're still fixing. Interesting. They've got some death touchy boys, but luckily the Wandering Emperor is at an unusually high loyalty total right now. So, I'm okay with that. Soul Transfer. they're going to exile it. I want it in the yard so that I can flash it back later. This means I can't Memory Deluge this turn, but makes my next turn a little bit better. Would love another blue source, actually. Yeah. There's a lot of things I'd love, actually. A blue source is just on the list. Alright, that is a blue source. Technically speaking, at the very least. Let's go ahead and put a counter on this. And then
I've got new moves to teach you.
Attack with Kairi and Samurai. Yep. That seems reasonable. The one extra life that they gain from that is worth making sure that the number of permanents is under control, because I could see Meat Hook Massacre being a reasonable way that our opponent gets out of this. I'll go ahead and play the Hermit. Would really love to draw a Wedding Announcement. Koma would obviously be pretty strong. There's a lot of good things. Invoke Despair. Okay, so sack a creature, deal with an enchantment and a walker. Well, that's annoying, but go ahead and get rid of an Innkeeper, Poor Wanderer. Luckily, we've got some more. Our opponent's actually coming back pretty well here. This is not a bad place for them. It's Memory Deluge, auto pay. I am very happy about this. And that actually makes it even better. So, combat, attack, attack. Yep. Curious to see what they get with this eye twitch. Mascot exhibition. Interesting. Okay. Don't know that that's going to solve their problems. End turn. I suppose it gets them one flying blocker, which is not nothing. And then for my turn, I'll flash in, put a +1/+1 counter. Overgrown Farmland, +1/+1. Split it like that.
I've got new moves to teach you.
Then go to attackers. Yep. Seems about right. Alright, and then here, I just leave it up. I've got plenty of life to absorb things with. I've got all the Storm Giants up as a possibility. If they Wrath here, it's not really the end of the world. I've got Memory Deluge. They're gonna need something better than an Eye Twitch as a blocker. Like, I don't know if, like, maybe they were actually roping at the beginning. They were just, you know, stuck on mana, but I Yeah, so I'm going to take this opportunity to block their 4/4. The Wanderer is just going to have to eat it. I don't think saving the Wanderer is what changes this game, but we'll see. We've still got more, so not particularly worried. I think they're on their way out, so I'm gonna take Tamiyo because Tamiyo is fun, and I'm gonna take Wedding Announcement because Wedding Announcement's fun. We're here to have fun. Hengegate Pathway, Malevolent Hermit. They do have a fair bit of mana here, so this helps insulate against worst case scenario. Okay. That actually worked out because they gained a life there, so I'm glad I got Tamiyo because I think that this is my answer now. So I'm going to leave up as much blue as I can because now I'm going to want to tap with Eye Twitch so that they can't block Kairi. Because if they blocked Kairi, left Benevolent Geist go through, they would have lived with one life. But otherwise, we got a good game. I won't know what would have happened in the early game if they were roping, if they just stepped away and they just auto-passed their turns by mistake. Who knows? That ended up being at least a real game. But I would have liked to have seen what would have happened if they were, playing normally. Anyway, good game. I am inevitable. All right. Next up, we've got Motihara. Gotta love the Ajani with the one googly eye. That's an attention to detail I can get behind. This is aggressively okay. We've got some things we can do at 2. If we get 3, then we've got Celestus. I'm not thrilled about it, but I think I keep it. This deck does need more land. Like, I'm not sad to have more action in the deck, which is why I sort of, skimped on the lands in the first place. But you are 100% right if you choose to not follow my lead and not skimp on lands. I don't know what our opponent's doing here, but I'm not a fan anymore, so I'm going to foretell this. I was originally going to play the Hermit, but this is maybe Oni Animal, or maybe it's just zombies. In either case, I want to have the option to nuke their board if I have to. But we did draw 2 lands, which is where we need to be, so feeling pretty good so far. Wedding Announcement is legit. I don't strictly feel like I want to... I want to Wrath here. Maybe that's still the right call. Yeah, I think since I've got a good amount of removal, let's just go ahead and wipe up here. It'll save me some damage from this and then get rid of the Jadar. If we get another, then so be it. Honestly, giving them the treasure is the thing that I'm least happy about there. Well, we can exile Eddie. That feels pretty good. Can't exile in this turn, but soon. Do that, and then that gets us on the ramp train. And the question is, do I want to play Hermit or leave up Fateful Absence for the Edgar? Or 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd have to exile too much from my hand to march anyway. Going to 13, be less than great. I'm gonna go ahead and play the Hermit. Just get it going there. Take the hit from Edgar. He's not really contributing too much until he flips anyway, so. No blocks. Alright. I was thinking our opponent might be zombies. for a while there, but this seems to be a little bit less clear. Oh, we got an answer for that, luckily.
My will must be paid.
Decided to draw. Cool.
Innistrad is free.
Alright, so we still need double green, so do that. And here, it's going to cost 5 mana to kill that, 2 to do that. I could Wandering Emperor to get rid of Edgar. That seems good. Let's go ahead and, in that case, kill Sorin before he can activate again. And I'm assuming that they'll attack with Edgar, and I'll just Wandering Emperor when that opportunity arises. If they somehow see this and don't attack, I will regret it, but I don't see why they wouldn't attack based on how they were already playing. Interesting, trading a treasure for a blue. I don't mind that, at the very least. End turn. I suppose waiting on the Fateful Absence until their upkeep would have let me draw a card with Celestus, so that's good. But then again, I'm not discarding any of this. This is just straight gas, so. Alright.
Feel the energy of battle, then guide it like water.
Zangzadam. Goodbye, Edgar. What I like about this too is that Lismup, well, goodbye Emperor, but if they've got another Edgar, it leaves me still with an answer that exiles.
Is final.
Would have liked for that Emperor to stick around a little longer. See? Double Edgar. Called it. Let's see. I don't think getting in 2 damage is worth it necessarily. The question is dropping this wedding announcement now worth it? And the answer to that is probably yes. Let's get that going. Won't get to draw a card off Celestus, but so be it. And then here, I'll just sit back. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could potentially march the Edgar if need be, but Edgar not having evasion means that I can just chump it for days. If they try to do something crazy, I've got Malevolent Hermit to potentially counter things. You know, see what happens. No attacks. Interesting. So, I'm not gonna complain about that. So I get to draw. Good, 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 good. They've got to have something up their sleeve, right? Like, there's got to be something more, right? They've got so much mana. Like, the Malevolent Hermit's not even really going to do all that much. I'm just going to stack up these wedding announcements and hope they don't fare well, I guess. No attacks. I really want to hold on to this March, so I'm going to decline, because otherwise I'm just milling the top card, which maybe is legit, but this deck doesn't benefit quite so much from just arbitrarily filling the graveyard, so unless it's like a Memory Deluge, I don't particularly want anything to spill over. But if our opponent's playing Farewell, I do realize that I have played into that really, really hard here, so let's hope that one of their 3 cards they have in hand is not that. Okay, they're flooding out pretty hard, but they don't have Snowland, so I don't think they're doing Blood on Snow. Invoke Despair is unfortunate. I guess I'll sack a dude, sack a little Festivity, and then ouch. Invoke Despair is legit. I wasn't too hot on this card during spoiler season, but you know, it's done good work, especially with the amount of like random enchantment stuff happening in the format. All right, Chariot. So play Chariot. Alternatively, I can just go ahead and nuke Aggro now and get a bunch of damage in, draw a couple cards. That seems like I need to get rid of this Aggro or I'm just never gonna end the game. Attack. And draw a couple cards. Now they're beefy. Got another Invoke to spare? Probably. I always have more. Vanquish the Horde. So I don't really have anything to lose. I'm just going to make them tap out. Yep. Play the pathway on green. Then here I'll play Chariot. And I'll play Hermit. And pass turn. Another Vanquish the Horde. Well, I guess I will make you tap out again if we're going to keep running this playback over and over. Oh, Storm Giants is good. Flash some of these Deuterinos back. Turn on... Yep. Turn on a Chariot. And attack you for 6. I love Festivities. It's just such a good card. You got another Vanquish the Horde to show me? There we go. Good game, Motohata. Good game. Alright, welcome back for the wrap-up. Bant Control is probably not the strongest control deck I've built on the format, but I do love the way it plays. Like, it just has so many big beat sticks, and Tamiyo actually does pretty good work here. The games that I played here, you didn't really see everything she has to offer, but she's just such a good tempo card in a format that is all about, you know, getting every point of damage in that you can. Compared to straight blue-white, having access to Koma and Esika's Chariot is really compelling, especially with the amount of tokens we've got going on from Wedding Announcement and whatnot. Esika's Chariot is not to be underestimated in this format. Koma is really scary if you can untap with it. And, you know, we watched how it just housed mono white, which honestly, I'm kind of impressed that we managed to get to 7 mana against mono white. But it just goes to show you how resilient, you know, blue white X control is in the meta. And so essentially this version of the deck goes a bit more aggressive in the fat side. I still think Esper control is the best 3-color control deck in the format right now, and blue-white is, you know, that core is just so strong, it's hard to argue with it, but this is legit, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what New Capenna gives us for Bant Control. With it being Demon Lawyers, I'm really hoping for, like, you know, some ghostly prison type effects or something like that. Just ways to you know, make our opponents have to play off curve and stuff like that, because like that's really where this deck struggles. If our opponent curves out and just has stronger threats, you know, we don't want to be playing 1-for-1 with them. I mean, the best case scenario is we, you know, land a Wandering Emperor to remove and then just get value. And so anything that lets them keep up is hard for us. So I'm really looking forward to everything that we're going to get in the next set. I'm gonna probably look at a Grixis deck soon, just to sort of prime myself, get myself psyched for. I believe it's the Maestros that are Grixis colored in New Capenna. But anyway, enough about the upcoming set. The biggest limitation for this deck is that there's not enough lands, and I kind of knew that going into it, and we didn't really have awful mana troubles in the games I played on camera. And we had some sketchy openers that kind of worked out. On the one hand, between Prosperous Innkeeper and Celestus, you can shore up some of the mana issues here. But this isn't like the black control decks where you've got treasures coming off of every which way to help you shore this up. Like, if you keep an opening hand with too few lands, you're kind of out of luck, because I think on average from your opening hand, you're less than 40% or just over 40% to draw a land with this particular composition. So I knew that was bold going into it, and it worked out for us reasonably well. I've played a ton of games with this throughout the past week. I know it's been a long time since my last video, but life's been complicated, I suppose. And so I will say that the win rate of this deck on average is decent. We're rocking 62% according to Untap.gg, and so it's solid. It's a solid deck. For the recordings today, I just banged out the 3 games that you saw, and they all worked out pretty well. I will say that the cards in this deck are pretty staple-tastic, so I don't think there's any crafts that I would avoid here, particularly. Like Kairi's solid. Koma, if you're ever going to play blue-green, is just kind of a must-have for that color combo. If you're not going to play a lot of blue-green, then skip. You can put a Hullbreaker Horror in there and probably do just fine. Tamiyo, I still think that we need more tools to really make her shine, but she's strong enough that if you're interested in playing, I think she's worth the Mythic wildcards. But pretty much everything else on the deck slots into enough other decks, except for maybe the Prosperous Innkeeper if you're mostly playing control. Like, that's probably the most out of left field card in the deck. This one's a pretty safe craft. But either way, I had a lot of fun playing this one. I think it's got game. I think if we up the land count, maybe cut some of the higher end threats and just really focus on the token plan, it could really be excellent. But anyway, we'll take another look at this formula when we get closer to the new set. But anyway, thank you so much for watching the video this far. If you've gotten this far, I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me that I get to share my content with all of you, and making these videos is really the highlight of my week, and I mean that honestly and truly. So if you like the video, I'd really appreciate it if you'd drop a like, and if you really like what we're doing here, playing Control as often as we can, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Again, I'm just here trying to grow on YouTube and share the Control Mage love with as many people as possible. And so, yeah, see you in the next one. Bye.
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless, a sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless.